Dr. Alina Maris stepped off the shuttle onto the dusty surface of Ardala 7, blinking against the pale orange sky. The planet's horizon stretched endlessly. Dotted with silver domes and angular buildings, a mixture of human construction and alien-inspired design. This was humanity's newest frontier colonia, a place where only the brave or the curious ventured. And Alina both had chosen to come here. Her feet crunched over the thin layer of red sand. She felt a familiar tug of excitement mixed with exhaustion. The journey from Earth had been long and lonely. 12 weeks spent in cryogenic sleep, interrupted only by the automated monitoring systems that kept her alive. She stretched her arms and shoulders, noticing the faint ache from hibernation. "Welcome to the edge of human ambition," she muttered to herself, smiling despite her fatigue. The colony's main hub was a bustling center, filled with humans of all shapes, ages, and professions. Engineers hurried past, carrying toolkits that glinted under the artificial lights. Scientists checked their tablets, murmuring equations and graphs to each other. Families walked hand in hand, children bouncing with excitement despite the sterile environment. It was chaos. Yet it had a rhythm that Alina recognized instantly. Humanity always found a way to make life work, no matter how far from home. Alina made her way to the accommodation block, dragging her small suitcase behind her. Her room assignment had been delayed due to the influx of new settlers arriving simultaneously. The clerk at the front desk gave her a sympathetic smile. "We're full tonight," he said. "Except for... well, there's only one bed left in the communal quarters." Lena's eyes followed the clerk's gesture to a long, rectangular room at the far end of the hall. Through the glass wall, she could see a few other humans unpacking their belongings, settling in. A voice called out from inside. "Only one bed left, you know." Alina turned and saw him. A young man with tousled dark hair, bright green eyes, and a grin that seemed to know every secret of the universe. He was leaning casually against a doorframe as if the crowded room were his personal stage. "I'm Kale," he added, as if an introduction were necessary. Alina smiled politely, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Alina, nice to meet you." She paused for a moment, then shook her head. "I think I'll take the couch tonight." Kale raised an eyebrow, surprised. "The couch?" His grin widened. "Bold move. Most people jump at the bed," Alina shrugged. "I'm tired, yes, but I like a little space. And instinct tells me it's the safer choice." Kale laughed, a low, warm sound that echoed across the room. "Instinct, huh? Well, let's see if your instincts are right." He gestured toward the bed. "I hope you're not allergic to adventure or to missed opportunities." Alina rolled her eyes good-naturedly. She knew he was teasing, but there was something oddly comforting about his energy. Instead of approaching the bed, she carried her suitcase to the couch, a long padded piece of furniture near the corner of the room. It wasn't fancy, but it would do. As she unpacked, Alina took in the surroundings. The communal quarters were a mix of metallic panels and soft human touches. A few potted plants, clearly grown from earth seeds, added color. Small, personal items dotted the space. Photographs, a model spacecraft, a tiny stuffed toy. Humanity, even here on the edge of the galaxy, could not resist leaving pieces of itself everywhere. That evening, the settlers returned from their assignments or recreational walks outside, Alina observed quietly. Kale sat on the bed, tinkering with a small mechanical device, his fingers moving with precise confidence. Others came and went, some greeting him warmly. He clearly knew people here, but he didn't seem boastful. He simply belonged. Alina, by contrast, felt like a visitor, not yet fully woven into the colony's fabric. She unpacked her essentials, clothes, a tablet loaded with her research, and a small notebook where she kept observations, sketches, and calculations. She made a mental note to explore the colony tomorrow, to see what had drawn humanity here in the first place. Night fell quickly on Arda 7. The artificial lighting dimmed, casting soft shadows across the communal room. Settlers began to retire, and the hum of machinery blended with the quiet chatter of humans winding down. Alina lay down on the couch, pulling a thin blanket over herself. Her body ached pleasantly from the journey, and the couch's firmness was a welcome contrast to the stiff cryogenic chamber she had left behind. She closed her eyes. But sleep didn't come immediately. Instead, she felt a subtle vibration under the floorboards, almost imperceptible. She frowned and sat up, listening. The room was otherwise quiet. Settlers snored softly in the distance, Kale's occasional cough punctuating the silence. She dismissed it as a mechanical hum from the building's support systems. Ardella 7 was alive in more ways than one. Humans had learned to live with its constant background noise. Eventually, sleep began to claim her, but not in the ordinary sense. Her dreams were vivid, more vivid than usual after long space travel. She found herself standing in a vast open chamber beneath the colony, walls lined with smooth alien metal. Strange lights pulsed rhythmically along the floor as if the structure itself were breathing. She could feel energy coursing through the walls, something ancient and aware. In her dream, a voice whispered, not in words, but in ideas, images, and feelings. It spoke of the machinery beneath, of power and danger intertwined, of humans' potential to control or destroy. When she awoke, dawn was breaking outside the windows. The orange sky cast long shadows across the room. Settlers stirred, murmuring greetings and preparing for the day's assignments. Alina sat on the edge of the couch, notebook in hand, and quickly jotted down the images and feelings from her dream. It was too real to ignore, and the details were precise, exact enough to feel like a message rather than a mere dream. Kale emerged from the bed, stretching, his dark hair sticking up in all directions. "Morning," he said cheerfully. "Did you sleep well?" Alina looked up, smiling faintly. "Yes. Better than I expected. And I think I might have seen something interesting." Kale tilted his head, intrigued. "Oh, do tell." She hesitated for a moment. She didn't want to sound crazy. "I had a dream. Or maybe more than a dream. About the colony. About something beneath it. I'm going to check it out today." Kale's green eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Beneath the colony, you say? Well, aren't you brave?" He paused, then added softly, "Just be careful," Lena smiled. "That's why I chose the couch." Kale laughed again, but there was a note of seriousness hidden beneath it. Alina knew then that her small, simple choice, refusing the bed, trusting her instincts, might have kept her from something dangerous. Something even Kale didn't understand yet, as she packed her things to leave for the day's exploration. Lena felt a surge of purpose. Humanity had reached the stars not just because of machines or technology, but because of instinct, intelligence, and courage. Every choice mattered. Even the seemingly trivial ones, like choosing a couch over a bed, could change the course of events. And as she stepped outside into the dusty streets of Ardella 7, the wind carrying the scent of alien minerals and engineered flora, she felt ready. She didn't know what lay beneath the colony or what she would find, but she knew one thing: humans, clever and adaptable, thrived even at the edge of the unknown, and sometimes, just sometimes, instinct could be the sharpest tool a person had. Alina Maris walked through the streets of Ardella 7, her boots crunching softly on the red-tinted sand. The early morning sun cast long, thin shadows over the colony's buildings, glinting off metal panels and glass surfaces. Most settlers were already awake, busy with their daily routines. Engineers checked machinery, and children laughed while running alongside small robotic pets. Alina had spent only one night in the colony, but it already felt like a place full of secrets waiting to be discovered. Her mind, however, was occupied with the dream she had experienced the night before. The visions of the chamber beneath the colony were vivid and detailed. She remembered the alien machinery, the pulsing lights, and the strange energy that seemed almost alive. Most would dismiss such visions as a result of exhaustion, but Alina trusted her instincts. Something in her gut told her the dream was more than just imagination. She made her way to the colony's research hub, a tall silver building with wide windows overlooking the terrain. Inside, the hub was bright and humming with activity. Scientists moved between consoles, reviewing data streams and communicating with remote stations on other planets. Alina nodded politely to a few familiar faces and headed toward the library section, a quiet space where she could review old colony schematics and records. She spread out the documents on a long table, tracing her fingers over maps and diagrams. The colony had been built quickly, in response to a sudden need for resources and expansion. Yet even in these hastily constructed plans, there were hints of hidden spaces, maintenance tunnels, storage rooms, and access shafts. Elena's eyes lingered on a section labeled Subterranean Utilities. She paused, her heart quickening. Could this be the area from her dream? The diagrams showed narrow passageways and large chambers, though none of them had detailed descriptions. Elena spent hours cross-referencing the schematics with the dream imagery. Every turn, every corridor she had seen seemed to match a part of the underground layout. It was uncanny. And yet she knew better than to act recklessly. This was an unfamiliar world, and curiosity, while valuable, could also be dangerous. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Elena decided to step outside for a break. The colony's outer perimeter was lined with small greenhouses, domes filled with earth plants that added color to the otherwise stark landscape. She walked slowly, her eyes scanning for anything unusual. The air was dry, carrying a faint metallic temps from the minerals in the soil. Her thoughts returned to the couch in the communal quarters. Strange as it seemed, that simple decision had given her rest and clarity. Cale had been right to tease her, but instinct had guided her choice. Most people would not have considered the possibility that the bed might be risky. But sometimes humans survive not because of strength, but because of awareness, attention to subtle signals, and a willingness to follow their intuition. That evening, as the sky darkened and artificial lights flickered on across the colony, Elena returned to the communal quarters. Settlers were preparing for rest, chatting in small groups or quietly reading. Cale, as usual, was on the bed fiddling with his device. When he saw Elena enter, he raised an eyebrow. Back so soon? Planning another adventure? Elena smiled faintly, shaking her head. Not yet. I need to prepare. But I feel something tonight. I don't know why, but I think the ground beneath us will speak to me if I listen carefully. Cale laughed softly. The ground talks, huh? Well, you always did have an unusual way of seeing things. Maybe it's a gift. He paused, then added more seriously. Just don't get lost down there. These tunnels are confusing, even for the engineers. Elena nodded, though she knew she would have to trust her instincts completely. She unpacked a small kit she had brought, a flashlight, a notebook, a portable scanner, and a few basic tools. She also kept a small device that could record energy readings, just in case the alien machinery in her dream was real. The night settled over Ardalis7 like a soft blanket. Settlers retreated to their beds, and the hum of machinery grew louder in the quiet. Elena lay on the couch, flashlight and scanner at her side, letting her mind drift into that strange half-dream state again. Her body relaxed, but her senses were alert. The vibrations she had felt the night before returned, faint but rhythmic, almost as if the colony itself were breathing. Hours passed. Elena drifted between light sleep and wakefulness, the dreams returning in fragments. She saw the chamber again, brighter this time, the alien machinery glowing with energy that pulsed in perfect rhythm. The walls seemed to hum softly, and a voice not spoken aloud communicated with her directly. It conveyed images and ideas, maps of the tunnels, warning signs, and the potential for something extraordinary if humans approached with intelligence and care. Suddenly, the vibrations intensified. The floor beneath her couch seemed to shift slightly. Elena sat up, scanning the room with her flashlight. Nothing appeared out of the ordinary. Cale was asleep on the bed, a blanket pulled over him. The other settlers were quiet, oblivious to the subtle changes under their feet. Elena's mind raced. Was this the machinery from her dream trying to signal her? Or was it just a natural tremor in the planet's crust? Her instincts told her it was the former. She made a quick decision. She would wait for the right moment to explore further, but she would remain close to her sleeping neighbors. Humanity thrived on exploration, but it also thrived on caution and strategy. She returned to her notebook and began sketching the patterns of light and vibration she had seen in her dreams. Each line, each symbol felt alive on the page. The more she drew, the clearer the vision became. It was not random. There was logic, design, and intention behind the alien technology. Alina realized that humans had an opportunity here not just to survive, but to understand and use the technology for the colony's benefit. The night deepened. Outside, the sky sparkled with unfamiliar constellations, stars shining in colors she had never seen from Earth. Ardalis was alive with possibilities, dangers, and discoveries. Alina felt a mix of awe and responsibility. She knew that her actions tonight could determine not just her own safety, but perhaps the safety of the entire colony. She glanced at Kale one last time. He slept soundly, unaware of the subtle signals vibrating beneath the floor. Alina felt a quiet sense of gratitude toward the simple choice she had made earlier, choosing the couch over the bed. Her instincts had guided her to rest in a place that allowed her to notice the faint signs, to dream the necessary visions, and to prepare for what might come as the hours ticked by. Alina's consciousness shifted again. Her dream became a bridge between imagination and reality. She saw doors hidden beneath the colony's floors, pathways leading to chambers filled with light and machinery. She sensed intelligence in the technology, not human intelligence, but something older, something that had existed long before humans arrived, and yet it seemed willing to communicate, to respond to clever and careful minds. By dawn, Alina had recorded every detail she could remember. Exhausted but focused, she packed her notebook and scanner into her kit. The vibrations had faded, leaving only the soft hum of the colony's daily life. Settlers were beginning to stir again, preparing for morning routines. Kale yawned and stretched, looking at her with curiosity. "You've been awake all night, haven't you?" Alina smiled, feeling the warmth of determination and anticipation. "I think I've learned something important. Something about the colony, about what lies beneath us. I just need to confirm it." Kale's eyes widened slightly, a mix of admiration and concern. "Well, if anyone can figure it out, it's you. But promise me you'll be careful?" Alina nodded. "I will." Humans thrive on curiosity. Yes, but also on caution and cleverness. I'll need both tonight. And with that, she stepped outside once more, into the soft morning light of Ardalis 7. The red sands glimmered faintly under the rising sun. The colony, unaware of the secrets beneath its surface, went about its routine. But Alina knew that the night had changed something. Humanity's adaptability, courage, and intelligence had given her the edge to see the unseen, to sense the hidden machinery, and to prepare for what was coming. Sometimes, the smallest choices, the ones no one notices, made the biggest difference. And tonight, the choice of a couch over a bed might prove to be exactly that. The difference between danger and discovery, between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Alina Maris tightened the straps on her small exploration kit as she stood at the entrance to the maintenance tunnels beneath the colony. The hatch was hidden behind a stack of supply crates in the central hub, the kind of place most settlers never noticed. The hatch's metal surface shimmered faintly under the artificial lights, in faint vibrations just as she had sensed the night before, and through her fingertips as she pressed the scanner to the surface. Her heart raced. The dream had guided her here, showing every corridor, every door, every twist in the tunnels below. Alina had no doubt now that the visions were real, not illusions, not mere imagination. Something beneath the colony was alive in its own strange way, waiting for someone clever enough to find it. She opened the hatch carefully and descended the short ladder. The air was cooler here, damp with the faint smell of minerals and dust. The tunnel walls were reinforced metal, engraved with patterns that didn't seem human. Alina's flashlight beam reflected off the surface, revealing subtle grooves and symbols that pulsed faintly as if reacting to her presence. She froze for a moment, feeling a quiet thrill. Humanity had reached other worlds, but this was something older, something that had existed long before humans had even dreamed of space travel. Her scanner beeped softly, picking up unusual energy readings. The vibrations she felt in her dreams were stronger here, resonating through the floor, the walls, and even the air itself. Alina moved forward cautiously, her steps echoing in the tunnel. The corridors were narrow but orderly, like the veins of a giant organism, guiding her deeper into the underground network. Hours passed, or perhaps only minutes. Time seemed to behave strangely here. Elena's notebook was filled with sketches of the symbols, the lights, and the patterns of energy flow she observed. Every detail mattered, and she felt the familiar rush of human curiosity and intelligence guiding her choices. Humans survived in the universe not because they were the strongest, but because they could observe, learn, and adapt faster than anything else. She reached a junction where 3 tunnels branched off in different directions. Her dream had shown her this place, and she remembered the symbols on the walls. One corridor's markings glowed faintly brighter than the others, pulsing rhythmically. Elena's instincts told her this was the right path. She moved forward, the walls seeming to hum with energy in response to her approach. At the end of the tunnel, a massive chamber opened before her. The ceiling soared high above, covered in a lattice of alien machinery. Light streamed from unknown sources embedded in the walls, casting soft, shimmering patterns across the floor. Strange devices, unlike anything human, were suspended in the air, rotating slowly, emitting gentle hums that harmonized with the vibrations she had felt all along. Elena approached one of the devices cautiously. It was a smooth, metallic structure, covered in intricate lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. She reached out and touched it. Instantly, data and images flooded her mind, not in words, but in patterns, symbols, and ideas. The machinery communicated, showing her maps of the tunnels, energy flows, and potential areas of danger. It was as if the chamber itself recognized her intelligence, responding to her curiosity with clarity. Her eyes widened in awe. This is incredible," she whispered. "It's like it's alive, but not alive like humans. It thinks differently." Elena spent hours studying the machinery, making careful notes. The more she observed, the more she realized the potential. The chamber wasn't just a relic. It was a system designed to monitor and control the colony, to protect it from environmental threats and perhaps even cosmic events beyond human understanding. But it required understanding, intelligence, and careful handling. Misuse could be catastrophic, as she examined one section of the chamber. A sudden sound echoed behind her, a metallic clank, subtle but distinct. Elena froze. Had she imagined it? She turned slowly, flashlight scanning the corridor. Nothing appeared. The colony above seemed quiet, unaware of her exploration. But the chamber had subtle signs of movement, as if responding to her presence or perhaps to something else. Her mind raced. Could Kale or another settler have followed her? Unlikely. The hatch had been hidden, and only a few knew of its existence. And yet, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't entirely alone. She tightened her grip on her scanner, moving carefully toward the source of the sound as she advanced. She noticed small compartments in the walls opening automatically, revealing more devices, tools, and panels of alien symbols. The chamber seemed to adjust to her presence, revealing information selectively. It was as if it tested her, observing her choices and responding to intelligence and caution. Elena's pulse quickened. Humanity had always relied on cleverness to survive, and here it was, tested in a way no one could have predicted. She paused to examine a circular platform at the chamber's center. Lights along its edge pulsed in a sequence that matched patterns in her notebook from her dream. Elena realized she could interact with it, potentially activating some of the machinery or receiving more information. She reached out, hesitated, and then pressed a symbol that corresponded to the pulsing sequence. Instantly, a holographic projection rose from the platform. It depicted the colony above with layers of underground tunnels and hidden chambers mapped in glowing lines. Energy flows pulsed along the paths, showing areas of stability and instability. Elena could see exactly where support structures were weak and where the machinery was active. It was knowledge beyond human technology, yet comprehensible to her because she approached it with observation and careful thought. "This is humanity's advantage," Elena whispered. "Intelligence, adaptability, and curiosity. This could save lives." She spent the next few hours carefully documenting everything. Her notebook filled with sketches, annotations, and notes about energy flows and potential dangers. The chamber revealed more with each observation, responding subtly to her presence. It seemed to value logic, cleverness, patience, qualities humans had refined over millennia. Suddenly, a tremor ran through the chamber, stronger than anything she had felt before. Panels shifted and lights flickered. Alina steadied herself, realizing that the machinery wasn't just a passive system, it reacted to environmental conditions. Perhaps the planet itself had subtle shifts, or perhaps some dormant energy had been disturbed by her presence. Either way, the chamber was alive in a way that demanded respect. Elena's mind raced with calculations and possibilities. She knew she couldn't fully explore every section tonight. She had to plan carefully. But the discovery itself was monumental. Humans had always been explorers, problem solvers, and innovators. Here on Ardala 7, those traits were exactly what allowed her to interact safely with technology that was both ancient and advanced. As she prepared to return to the surface, Alina paused to look at the central platform one last time. The chamber hummed softly, lights pulsing in a steady rhythm. It had acknowledged her presence, her intelligence, and her caution. She felt a quiet sense of connection, as if the machinery understood that humans, while fragile in some ways, possessed qualities that allowed them to thrive in situations far beyond ordinary survival. Climbing back through the tunnels, Elena's mind buzzed with excitement. She had discovered something extraordinary. The colony above had no idea what lay beneath it, but she did. And she understood that the small, careful choices humans made, like trusting intuition, observing closely, and acting with intelligence, were the very qualities that allowed them to interact successfully with forces far older and more powerful than themselves. When she emerged from the hatch, the sun was low on the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Settlers moved about, unaware of the discovery below their feet. Kale was there, waving as she appeared, his usual grin in place. "Back already? Did the ground speak to you?" he asked teasingly. Alina smiled, shaking her head. "It did more than speak. It revealed something incredible. I need to study it further, but humans can handle this. We're clever, adaptable, and cautious enough to make use of it." Kale's grin faded slightly as he considered her words. "Sounds like you found something amazing and dangerous." Alina nodded. "Exactly. But it's also proof of what humans can do. We survive not just because we're strong, but because we can think, observe, and adapt. That's our real strength." That night, as Alina lay on her couch once again, she reflected on her discovery. The machinery beneath the colony was alive in its own way, but it responded to intelligence, careful observation, and thoughtful action. Humanity's qualities, curiosity, patience, ingenuity, were exactly what allowed them to interact successfully with it. And in that moment, she realized that her simple choice, choosing the couch over the bed, had set everything into motion. It had given her the rest, the clarity, the awareness she needed to notice subtle vibrations, interpret her dreams, and act with precision. One small decision had led to a discovery that could change the fate of the colony. Alina closed her eyes, feeling both excitement and responsibility. The machinery beneath Ardala 7 was more than just alien technology. It was a test, a puzzle, and an opportunity. Humanity had arrived at a frontier, and their survival and success depended on qualities that were uniquely theirs. As she drifted into sleep, she dreamed again, and as a passive observer. The morning on Ardala 7 began quietly, with settlers performing their usual routines. Children ran through the dust-colored streets, engineers inspected equipment, and scientists checked instruments in the research hub. To the casual observer, everything appeared normal. But Alina Maris felt a tension in the air, subtle and unrelenting. The vibration she had noticed in the tunnels yesterday returned, stronger this time. Spreading beneath the colony like the heartbeat of the planet itself, Alina stood in the communal quarters, her eyes scanning the ceiling as if it could reveal hidden warnings. Kale, oblivious to the subtle signs, was tinkering with one of his mechanical devices on the bed. He looked up as she approached. "You're tense," he observed, raising an eyebrow. "Something wrong?" Alina shook her head, though her hands betrayed a slight tremble. The machinery beneath the colony, it's reacting. I felt the vibrations last night, and now they're stronger. Something is happening, Kale. I don't think it's a small tremor. I think it's the machinery or maybe the planet itself warning us. Kale frowned, leaning back on the bed. Warning us about what? We've been here for months. Nothing dangerous has ever happened. Lena didn't answer immediately. She knew Kale didn't yet understand the scale of what lay beneath the colony. She pulled her notebook from her bag, flipping to the sketches and notes from her previous explorations. Look, she said, showing him the diagrams of tunnels, energy flows, in the central chamber. This is not ordinary. The chamber is active. It responds to energy fluctuations, vibrations, even small disturbances. If it isn't handled properly, it could destabilize the entire colony. Kale leaned closer, scanning the notes. His green eyes widened. You're saying it could destroy the colony? Possibly, Alina admitted, her voice steady but firm. Or it could save it. But only if we act carefully and quickly. Kale's usual grin faded. And you're ready to do that? Alina nodded. I don't have a choice. This is why humans thrive. We can adapt and solve problems when others might fail. We have intelligence, courage, and creativity. That's what gives us an edge, even against forces we don't fully understand. Together they hurried to the maintenance hatch. Alina opened it, and they descended into the tunnels. The vibrations grew stronger with every step, echoing off the metal walls like a warning drum. Alina's flashlight and scanner cast long shadows, revealing faint pulses of light along the corridors, signals from the machinery itself. The central chamber lay ahead, as it had the night before, but tonight it was different. Panels and devices that had previously remained static were now moving subtly, aligning themselves in strange configurations. Lights flickered in rhythmic sequences, pulsing faster than before. Elena's instinct screamed that something critical was happening. She stepped onto the circular platform at the chamber's center, scanning the holographic displays that rose into the air. Energy flows shifted unpredictably, some areas glowing bright while others dimmed. It's unstable, she muttered. The system is trying to adjust to a sudden energy surge. If we don't intervene, the chambers above, maybe even the colony itself, could collapse. Kale looked around nervously. What can we do? I'm just an engineer. You're the expert here. Lena took a deep breath, focusing. We need to stabilize the energy flows. The chamber responds to intelligent interaction, not brute force. I've been studying the patterns. If I can input the correct sequences, the system will adjust and protect the colony. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic symbols. Following the sequence she had memorized from her dream and notes, the machinery responded immediately. Panels shifted, energy streams realigned, and vibrations slowed, though not entirely. Suddenly, like a deep, resonant hum filled the chamber, louder than anything Alina had heard before. Lights flickered violently, and part of the ceiling trembled. Kale grabbed her arm. Alina, something's wrong. Elena's heart raced, but her mind stayed sharp. Stay calm. It's reacting to us. We have to stay precise, or it will overload. She adjusted the sequences, her hands moving faster but carefully. The system pulsed in response, energy streams stabilizing bit by bit. Her scanner beeped frantically, detecting minor surges, but she ignored the noise, focusing on the patterns and rhythms. Humans had faced impossible situations before on Earth, in space, on the frontier. Adaptability and focus had always saved them. Above the chamber, the colony shook. Settlers stumbled, objects clattered to the floor, and alarms began to ring softly. Elena's mind raced. She realized the system wasn't just a machine, it was a protector, reacting to environmental stress. If it reached full overload, structural collapse was inevitable. Kale stepped closer. Do you need help? Yes, Alina said without hesitation. Hold the scanner here and monitor the surges. Tell me which areas spike in energy. We have to correct them before it's too late. Together, they worked in perfect coordination. Kale relayed the scanner data, while Alina manipulated the holographic interface. Slowly, the pulsing lights became steadier. The vibrations softened, and the deep hum faded to a gentle resonance. The machinery responded to their combined intelligence, aligning with the patterns she had studied and understood. Finally, after what felt like hours, but was likely only minutes, the chamber stabilized. Energy streams flowed smoothly, panels returned to their resting positions, and the vibrations ceased. Alina let out a long breath, feeling the tension drain from her body. She looked at Kale, who was equally relieved but exhausted. "We did it," Alina whispered. "The colony is safe." Kale shook his head in disbelief. "I've never seen anything like that. It's alive in a way. And you just managed it." Alina smiled faintly. "We managed it. Humans survive because we work together, think clearly under pressure, and adapt. That's what gives us the edge, even here at the edge of the galaxy." They climbed back through the tunnels. Emerging into the twilight of Ardalis, the colony above seemed calm now. The alarms silenced, the settlers unaware of the crisis that had nearly struck. Children still ran through the streets laughing, and engineers continued their work. Life continued because humans were clever, alert, and courageous. Kale looked at her with admiration. "I guess your instincts about the couch were right," he said softly. "You saw what others couldn't. You rested, noticed the vibrations, and acted. One small choice. And it saved everyone." Alina nodded. "Sometimes the smallest choices matter most. It's not just strength or technology that saves humanity, it's awareness, intelligence, and courage." That night, back in the communal quarters, Alina lay on her couch again. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment and responsibility. The machinery beneath the colony was still active, still alive in its own way. But now it had been guided safely by human intelligence. Kale lay across the bed, watching her quietly. "You're amazing," he said after a moment. Alina smiled, but her thoughts were elsewhere. Humanity had survived countless challenges on Earth and in space because they could observe, adapt, and act wisely. The machinery beneath Ardalis 7 was powerful, but humans were clever, courageous, and adaptable. That combination had saved the colony today. As sleep claimed her, Alina reflected on what had happened. The crisis had tested her in ways she had never expected. The machinery had responded not to brute force or guesswork, but to intelligence, focus, and intuition. Humans had a unique advantage, the ability to notice patterns, understand complex systems, and act decisively. And sometimes a small, seemingly simple choice, like choosing a couch over a bed, could set the stage for extraordinary survival and discovery. Alina closed her eyes, feeling both relief and anticipation. The crisis was over, but the adventure was far from finished. Humanity had arrived at the frontier of the unknown, and their intelligence, courage, and adaptability would continue to guide them through challenges no one else could face. The vibrations beneath the colony were calm now. But Alina knew they were only waiting, watching, testing. And when the next challenge came, humans would rise to it, just as they always had, just as they always would. The morning on Ardalis was calm, a gentle contrast to the tremors and vibrations of the previous night. Sunlight filtered through the colony's transparent domes, casting soft golden rays over streets dotted with settlers beginning their routines. Children laughed, their voices echoing against the metallic buildings. While engineers checked equipment and scientists reviewed data from the previous night, everything seemed normal, but Alina Maris knew the truth. Beneath their feet, the colony's hidden machinery hummed quietly, stabilized by her and Kale's efforts. It was no longer erratic, no longer a potential threat. Instead, it stood as a silent guardian, responsive to intelligence and careful guidance. Alina couldn't help but feel a quiet pride. Humanity had once again demonstrated what made it remarkable, the ability to adapt. To solve problems and to act wisely under pressure, Alina walked through the colony, notebook in hand, reviewing sketches and notes from the central chamber. Kale followed, carrying a portable scanner to verify the machinery's stability. He had been quiet since their return from the tunnels, clearly contemplating the events of the night before. "You know," Kale said after a few minutes, breaking the silence, "I keep thinking about what you said. That humans survive because of intelligence, courage, and adaptability. I never realized it could be so literal." Alina smiled. "It's true. It's not just about surviving the elements, the terrain, or other humans. Survival is about observation, learning, and responding appropriately. That's why we thrive where others might fail. The machinery below, it was a test, in a way. It responded to understanding and careful thought. Strength alone would have done nothing. Cale shook his head, impressed. And all of this started because of a couch? You chose a couch over a bed, and look at what happened. You saw, noticed, and acted. That small choice saved the colony. Lena laughed softly, though her mind was still focused. Sometimes the smallest decisions have the biggest consequences. That's one of the lessons humans have learned over millennia. We are clever, curious, and persistent. That combination has allowed us to explore space, survive harsh conditions, and solve problems no other species could manage. By mid-morning, the Colony Council had been informed about the events. Settlers gathered in the central hub, curious and slightly anxious. Alina and Cale arrived to give their report. She explained the situation carefully, avoiding alarmist language, but conveying the importance of the machinery's intelligence. This system is not just technology, she said, pointing to diagrams projected from her tablet. It is responsive, adaptive, and requires careful interaction. It can protect the colony, but it demands intelligence, careful observation, and patience. Humans possess all of these qualities. That is why the colony is safe today. The council members nodded, impressed by her clarity and calm. They asked questions about stability, energy flows, and potential future interactions. Alina answered each with confidence, demonstrating not just technical knowledge, but also the human qualities that had allowed her to manage the machinery. Intuition, observation, and adaptability. After the briefing, Cale and Alina walked to the edge of the colony. Overlooking the red sands and distant mountains of Arteliseven, the horizon glimmered with faint light from minerals embedded in the planet's surface. You know, Cale said thoughtfully, I think people will start seeing humans differently here. Not just as settlers or scientists, but as problem solvers, thinkers, and heroes in our own way. Alina nodded. That's the essence of what humans bring to the universe. We survive, thrive, and succeed because of more than tools and machines. It's our intelligence, courage, and adaptability. That's the real power. As they spoke, settlers began gathering near the hub, noticing the calmness and renewed energy in the colony. Word had spread that a crisis had been narrowly avoided and that human ingenuity had saved everyone. Alina realized then that her small choices, the decision to sleep on the couch, to trust her instincts, and to act carefully, were now lessons for the entire colony. Humanity's greatest strength was not always visible, but it was undeniable. That evening, the communal quarters were filled with a quiet sense of accomplishment. Settlers shared stories of the unusual night, some exaggerating the tremors and lights, others noting the bravery of those who had ventured underground. Cale leaned against the wall, watching Alina with a mixture of admiration and amusement. You really are something, he said. You went down there, faced unknown dangers, and handled it like humans are supposed to. Clever, brave, and smart. That's us, isn't it? Alina smiled, lying down on the couch once again. She felt the familiar comfort of it, a small but meaningful reminder of the night that had started it all. Yes, she said softly. That's humanity. We notice the subtle signs, adapt, think critically, and act with courage. That's why we succeed where others might fail. Cale sat nearby, watching the settlers in the common room. Do you think the machinery will trust us again? He asked. I think it already does, Alina replied. It responded to intelligence and careful thought. It will continue to cooperate, but only if we remain observant and wise. That's how humans survive, by understanding systems, respecting them, and acting intelligently. Over the next few days, Alina and Cale continued to monitor the underground machinery. Settlers assisted with minor tasks, all curious about the hidden world beneath the colony. Alina taught them basic principles: observation, careful interaction, and cautious experimentation. She emphasized human qualities: curiosity, adaptability, and intelligence as the key to understanding and cooperating with the alien technology. The colony flourished, the machinery stabilized fully, energy flows balanced perfectly, and the underground network became a silent guardian of human life above. Elena's discovery transformed the settlement, instilling a quiet confidence in the settlers. They began to understand that survival wasn't just about physical strength or advanced tools. It was about how humans applied their minds, their creativity, and their courage in unexpected situations. One evening, as the twin moons of Ardala 7 rose over the horizon, Elena sat with Kale at the observation deck. The sky shimmered with unfamiliar stars, casting faint light over the metallic structures of the colony. "You know," Kale said softly, "I used to think humans survived just by being strong and clever with machines, but now I see. It's something more. It's who we are. Curiosity, intelligence, and courage. That's what makes us exceptional." Lena nodded, watching the moons reflect in the distant mountains. "Exactly. We've survived countless challenges because we observe, we learn, and we adapt. That's what allows us to thrive, even in places like Ardala 7. The machinery below, the dangers we face their tests. And we pass them because we think, act wisely, and persevere." Kale smiled. "And to think it all started with a couch." Lena laughed softly. "Sometimes the smallest choices have the greatest consequences. Trusting instincts, staying alert, and acting carefully. That's humanity in action." The settlers continued their routines, unaware of the subtle heroism that had preserved their lives. Yet Elena knew that humanity's strength was not in recognition or accolades. It was in the quiet confidence of intelligence, courage, and adaptability. These qualities had saved the colony, guided them through crisis, and ensured that humans could continue to thrive on the frontier. As the night deepened, Elena returned to the communal quarters. Settlers slept peacefully, unaware of the subtle hum of the machinery below, now fully stabilized. She lay on the couch, closing her eyes, feeling both exhaustion and fulfillment. Humanity had proven, once again, that it could survive and succeed in even the most alien environments. Her thoughts drifted to the lessons learned. Observation mattered. Intuition mattered. Intelligence mattered. And courage mattered. All these traits combined created the uniquely human ability to face the unknown and emerge victorious. The machinery beneath Ardala 7 had tested these traits, and humans had passed. Kale slept nearby, peaceful, and Elena felt a quiet gratitude for his support. Together, they had demonstrated the essence of humanity, not just technology or strength, but the power of clever, courageous, adaptable minds as she drifted into sleep. Elena's dreams were calm for the first time in days. She envisioned the colony thriving, humans exploring further, the machinery responding intelligently to careful interaction. The adventure had begun with a simple decision, but it had grown into something far greater, proof that humans, wherever they go, have the ingenuity, courage, and perseverance to overcome challenges no one else could. In the morning, the colony would awaken to another day, unaware of the crisis that had been averted. But Elena knew the truth. Humanity had triumphed. And sometimes, it was the smallest choices, the decision to sleep on a couch, to trust instincts, to act wisely, that shaped the future of entire worlds. She smiled, closing her eyes fully, confident that humans, clever and brave, would continue to thrive not just on Ardala 7, but wherever the universe took them next. Humanity's story, after all, was one of intelligence, courage, and the unyielding ability to rise above challenges, and in that quiet triumph, the subtle hum of the machinery below seemed to echo a single truth: humans were ready for anything.